It's a beautiful Sunday, so why don't we go ahead and stay inside and watch some Valorant, shall we? Hello and welcome to week 2 of VCT Americas, coming at you live from the Riot Games Arena.
Sign upside down. Ball
we have a crowd. Welcome back. I'm Golden Boy. I'm back again, joined by Wyatt, and of course, she did a stupendous job yesterday, Mimi. Well done, well done. Yay. Carrying the reins for me while I was away.
They made me cede my power.
They will one day. They will one day. But let's go ahead, though, and talk about what happened yesterday because, well, I wasn't here. So, first up, we have Cloud9 facing off against Loud, our first matchup. I remember this one distinctly. I was on the road up to where I was heading to for the day, and then I looked at the score, and I saw C9 were up 1-0, and I thought that we existed in the upside down, Wyatt. And here we are, though. All was corrected, but C9, hell of a run.
Yeah, for sure. All was corrected, but C9, they really did come into this really doing the one thing that they could to take a map, which was counter-strat the opposition. Loud. What they were doing on split with that Gecko perfectly to start off the series.
This round was insane. I mean, some of the clutches that Loud managed to pull off to say, and they were really tested in this series. But once we got a little bit later in the pool, you started to see some of that experience of Loud coming out. And talking about anti-stratting, I think they had a really good idea of how Cloud9 wanted to play this map of Lotus. And I think this series kind of reflects just the inexperience of the squad for Cloud9. It showed that they put a lot of effort, a lot of preparation into the split, and that was fantastic, but you only have so much time, so many weeks to put that work in, and they weren't fully ready for every single map in this pool, in the same way that Loud was. But I still think for Cloud9, they walk away feeling happy. But series number 2 was also insane. We got a wild upset with Furia finding a crazy comeback in map number 3 to make things happen over a Leviathan squad that we had such high hopes for, Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, it could be an upset, but I think with,
I feel like after beating NRG, it should be considered.
Yeah, but when we look back on this one in history, I don't know. I don't think it necessarily is one. Furia are really, really nice. And that third map, beating Leviathan on Ascent, bringing it back in the fashion that they did on defense with it being such a strong map for that LATAM side, was hella impressive.
Yeah. I think that, you know, we continue to big up Fury. I think we were a little worried at first, like what happens, where does this team land? But I do think that now we are looking at a legitimate contender here in the Americas region. Even though it's still early and we are only in week 2, I do want to give Fury those flowers. They are going to be tied for first right now with Loud. You have Sentinels in 3rd and 4th. You have C9 at 1-1. Leviathan are going to be joining them there as well. And then rounding out the rest of the pack there, you can see all fishing for their first victory here today. MIBR and Crew could very well find themselves in the win column there because they will be playing later on today. But first up, though, let's actually talk about NRG versus Sentinels. And like I said before, we'll talk about MIBR facing off against Crew. And make sure you guys, you beautiful people at home, I miss you so much, are using the hashtags VCT Americas and VCT because I miss telling this to you oh so much so that your tweets can be shown on the broadcast. And by the way, make sure while you still can, okay, why not answer today's Twitter poll question? It's very simple.
Voting is important.
Voting's important. Is Brazil going to 3-0 this weekend? Scan the QR code. All right, let us know. Cast your vote. We want to hear from you. Do you think Brazil is going to 3-0 this weekend?
I, for one, welcome our Brazilian overlords, and I think it is going to be 3-0. I think every Brazilian team is going to be sitting at the top of those standings right now. That region is just looking incredible, Wyatt.
Yeah, it definitely is. I've been waiting my whole life for this, Mimi.
He's finally done it.
We finally arrived. Yeah, they really do have a strong chance, especially with what we saw from NRG. A lot of question marks last week. That was the roughest showing with this new roster yet. And Sentinels on the upswing, making some good decisions with that time they had between a lock-in and the beginning of America.
Sentinels is technically a Brazilian team, for the record.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Technically speaking.
Exactly.
They'll own that. They'll own that. All right, guys. Well, look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And you know what? We're going to have some peeps before we talk to Sentinels versus NRG. If those of you got that reference, kudos to you. Of course, as always, see you on the other side.
Who doesn't know what a peep is?
I don't know.
I think everyone knows what a peep is.
5 HP per second, and Saucy gets 3! Oh, he spotted him, he's gotten it down to 1. The snap is there from Finesse anyway! The Red Bull clutch for NRG!
Welcome back, everyone. Now, I want to take you all the way back to 2021. I know, it feels like it was ages ago, because fresh off of their perfect run in Reykjavik, Sentinels looked damn near unbeatable. And then it all came crashing down when they met up against Envy, and a lot has changed since then. My hairline for one of those, but of course, Mimi, you're now able to vote.
Finally, I can
all
do
right,
this. Wow.
But here's the thing. Tens is going to be facing off against that Envy core here today. Jokes aside, this is going to be an interesting clash of these two styles here.
Yeah, this match was kind of the end of the Sentinels era in a way. And for the start of VALORANT 2020 into 2021, this team was winning absolutely everything. And after a win of Reykjavik, losing this match against Envy at Berlin, getting knocked out, this is when I think the Envy core that became Optic, that has now become NRG, became the best team in North America and basically carried that banner all the way to now, being the best placing team at lock-in. But for the Sentinel squad, completely rebuilt since that time, only 10s remaining, they have an opportunity now to flip that script and actually maybe upset this NRG squad and have a shot at becoming that best squad in North America.
Yeah, and of course, I think when we talk about Sentinels, obviously, you're going to look back at lock-in, but lock-in was such a long time ago at this point. It's a distant memory now, especially after taking down 100 Thieves Wyatt in week 1. This Sentinels team looks like they're getting comfortable, which can be scary for the rest of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're a new team, it's like, I don't know, you interpret time the same way as like a baby. Time feels a lot longer. When you're earlier into your infancy. The team had been around for such a short amount of time that even just a couple months means so much to that squad. And having only played like the Ludwig Tarek event and then lock-in, that was just not enough time for them to really put anything cohesive together. Not just to mention the time it took to actually get Saucy and Pancata into the Sentinels camp here in the U.S. So with all of that in consideration, I feel like they finally had enough time to make some of the core adjustments they were looking for to find the player comfortability on what role should this guy be on, where's this guy's position going to be in the team.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that was the role swaps. And one of the examples of those was Saucy and Pancata. Pancata switched on over, now kind of playing still some of the controllers. You can see him on the Viper here, but also onto the Sentinel roles, allowing him to find more of those lurks and pop off, while Saucy has switched over to the controller role. I think there are some upsides to this. Both these guys get to play together in late rounds and play for those clutches, which we know they're fantastic at as a duo. But that also opens up the rest of the players to become more comfortable. That means Tens is back on basically always primary duelist, and Def gets to play his flash initiator that he's very good at. Yeah,
and really, I think comfortability is the theme of this team. And as we take a look at their IGL Def, I think it shows off in there as well, Wyatt, right? Because Def, this guy's coming into it, obviously a pretty decorated IGL, lots of experience under his belt here. This is a tall task for him, but he has been playing some damn good VALORANT lately.
Yeah, definitely. When they came into the roster, they were trying a lot of that double duelist stuff, making it easy for Zekken and Tens, keeping those guys comfortable. But what they didn't do initially was have Def on the role that he was on with Exa, which was playing the initiator role, setting up Zekken, his duelist from that previous team. And watching him back on that last week against 100 Thieves, I do think was one of the critical factors in them beginning to turn things around. And it's a bit unorthodox to think that you would want to take Saucy off the initiator, where he's been one of the best for years, take Pancata off of the Ohm and the controller role. But it actually did end up, I think, working out for them in that game because Def looked more comfortable, I think, leading the team from that position.
Yeah.
He looks comfortable setting up Zekken from that position. And also just individually, when he was playing the Sentinel earlier with Sentinels this year, he was just not doing anything individually. And in that game against 100 Thieves, he was having his moments too. He found himself in the positions he was in when he was on XSET playing the same role, actually able to get some impact of his own. And because it was a while ago, and because no one was watching XSET games and now he's on Sentinels, it's also, people don't really know that I think he actually had a number of good individual games on that team too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there is so much that we can continue to harp on with the Sentinels team because of their background, where all these players have come from. There's so much depth to this lineup. But for a closer look, though, at Sentinels and their defensive sides, let's actually send it over to Sean Garris, who's going to be standing by over by the teletrader. Sean, play.
Great throw.
Hey, GB, thanks for that throw right there. So today I want to talk about Sentinels double duelists, right? They copied the Loud comp, but the way they did it and how they put these two duelists together, this was a big problem for Sentinels early on. So you can see right here, they're opting to do a dish play with both of the duelists. And if you look, you can see Def right here on this breach roll. His job is to stun the line. You have the Brim dropping a smoke over here as well. So when we go ahead and roll the clip, you see the smoke go in. Zekken gets fault lined actually by the attacking breach, so they step back. And right now, if you take a look, Zekken is actually one orb off of ult. And this is something that 100 Thieves knows very well, right? This is something that Mike drills into these players. So watch Zekken right now tap this orb, fall back into safety. All the meanwhile, TenZ is actually supporting him from behind. Def has now jumped up into dish, and they're gonna hold this together. Zekken steps in front of the Aftershock, Def supporting, and then they regroup at that moment for the A retake. The A hit comes out of main, and this is the retake they fought for. Zekken gets his ult, and he showstoppers out of the dish now to clear it out. And it's just such a well-played round by both of the duelists. It didn't really catch some of the things that TenZ did really well, but here we actually have Def, who had fallen already in this round. So watch how the duelists this time approach the situation. They're actually playing outside of this B site, away from Saucy, who's up here in heaven all alone. So what does TenZ do as the first contact? He's just constantly harassing through the smoke, constantly spamming, making a presence, and that opens things up for Zekken, who gets the kill, boombots through. And this is where TenZ shines. This late round situation where all the abilities are gone. He gets these dry fights. He's gonna take both of these players out that come out of heaven. And this is exactly what I would want if I were in-game leading this team. I would want these duelists to be getting these opportunities time and time again. So when we come to this last round, this is where Def shines. This is the in-game leading out of Def coming in, and you can see over here on the mini-map, he is pointing this fault line over here, right here towards main. And you have TenZ, on the other hand, opping. So TenZ actually opping main right there. Zekken right here with the showstopper again, and Def with the fault line ready off of TenZ contact. So playing the clip, you can see TenZ opping this crack, being first contact, and the second he shoots this dog, a fault line actually will come through from 100 Thieves. And when that fault line comes through, immediately, you can see Def's fault line right there on the ground. Zekken is through the door, and these players on 100 Thieves have nowhere to go. And Zekken cleans them up yet again. So I think if Def can piece together game plans like this time and time again with these double duelists, get Zekken activated, get TenZ activated, I think we have a new best team in NA. What do you guys think over there on the desk?
Ooh, bold claim there, but I won't disagree because of what we saw, that coordination. Again, that is really, I think, the, what Def brings to the table here, and why I said this guy, as an IGL, he had a hell of a game against 100 Thieves. You got to be very satisfied with that.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And a lot of the criticism after week one for this team, or even actually, after lock-in, was that Def was struggling. He wasn't finding the stride in calling. He wasn't performing individually. But I think with these role changes and with the team as a whole finding comfort, the double duelist comps give him so many options as an IGL, and that's really freed up Sentinels to have a style that I think makes sense for the players that they have.
Yeah, it is going to be awesome to see this one. Now, this first matchup touches, as we mentioned before, on one of last year's best rivalries, and both teams are very aware of what the other squad is capable of. So let's actually go ahead and hear what Saucy and Finesse have to say about this matchup.
We face NRG, and I think it's going to be a tough challenge for us. The NRG core that crashes Victor and FNS, it's kind of me and Brian rivals, right? We played against them a lot last year when we were allowed.
Saucy and Pancata were a massive part of why they were able to win against us so consistently. Obviously, we started off the year winning against them, and even in Istanbul, I think we beat them, but eventually they came back and beat us in the final. So, I mean, in general, it's just a back and forth between us all of last year, so it's only fair that we play against this year.
I actually think NRG kind of has the same play style, most because of FNS calling. So we know how he likes to call, and I think he's a great IGL, so we might be careful about him.
He spots, the shots go just a bit wide, and the snap is there from Finesse anyway!
I mean, it's definitely going to be fun playing against them. They're always very organized players. Very few mistakes are made by them, and in general, that whole team looks strong. They were able to beat 100 Thieves last week, and yeah, it's going to be a fun game overall because we do like playing against their sort of playstyle. I think they are prone to mistakes if we're able to, disrupt them enough. So that's going to be the goal.
When we face FNS, we need to always read them so they are not predictable at all. So it's like this brain war, between FNS and the other RGL.
Usually I have pretty good reads on everyone we play, but in general, I think they do as well. And I think that's why it's going to be such a battle because, it is like he said, this depends on who reads who and whether we're able to actually execute our game plan. We need to get a win on the board to get everybody confident again. Hopefully it's 1-1.
Oh, man, lots on the line for both of these teams. I mean, for NRG, it's about being able to secure your first win here in Americas. And then on the flip side to that, well, actually, did they win already? I think they won already.
For NRG?
Yes. Yeah, but it's
no, they lost Leviathan.
That's right. That's right. So
Tough game.
you're really looking for that first big win here against Sentinels. And to pull it off, Mimi, against Sentinels would be absolutely massive. For
yeah,
them.
it would be. And that Leviathan game was super rough. NRG has had this storyline of the core back when they were Optic about being slow starters. They win less than half of their opening matchups. And that's kind of just like a storyline moment, right? That it's something they've struggled with in the past and isn't necessarily something that we'll see continue through with this NRG squad. But I think it is a bit of a worrying sign because in that game, particularly on that second map of Lotus, it really felt like they were running out of ideas and playing, I think, far below what we've come to expect from this squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most surprising part of that might be that it was also their pick.
Yeah.
They actually went into Lotus against Leviathan. Also, by the way, in that game, Leviathan left Icebox open in the pool.
Which they, as we saw, not very good.
No, not very good from what we saw yesterday. And then that was the map that NRG were picking previously. They liked playing it at lock-in. And despite that, they didn't go into it. They picked Lotus and then just ended up running their heads into a wall over and over on that map against Leviathan. And now they end up in the situation where they're down 0-1 against one of the teams that you would think in the standings they're going to be competing against.
Yeah.
Sentinels going to be another one, more than likely, I think, in that upper half.
Yeah.
So now you're in a situation where if you're NRG and you go down 0-2, if they make those errors before the game even starts by picking the wrong map, taking the pool in the wrong direction, that could already be just such an early disadvantage.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously, right, talking about Lotus and how that NRG team played out of that, makes you wonder whether or not like the same problem can rear its ugly head today, Mimi. That's what I'm a little worried about because we know that Psycho and Def, they come in with the game plans. They come in with the reads, maybe.
They absolutely do. And for NRG as well, this is normally a team where we talk about them as being super strong in the prep department with both Chet and Finesse. And now twice they've had, I think, the wrong read on these compositions for Lotus. So I'm hoping to see them stray away from that map and lean more towards the stuff that we've already seen is actually a strength for them.
Yeah, we did, cover, obviously, Def's prowess as an IGL, but let's not forget, on the other side of the stage, it's probably one of the best IGLs, that's played the game pretty much. And that's, FNS, Finesse, whatever you want to call him. But this guy, Wyatt, he has been just such a difference maker for the core of this NV, Optic, NRG lineup, whatever you want to call them. This guy has always brought it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the maps where he was able to do the same. This was also a map at lock-in that they did perform well on with this same comp. And they got, they did a pretty solid job here, even despite Artis' raise this past weekend, or this past last weekend, rather, just not hitting really at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that in this map again of Pearl against Leviathan, they were playing excellently. NRG had such fantastic reads on what their opponent was doing. For FNS on the defensive side, he did such a good job of playing for info in the mid-round and stacking against these Leviathan site hits that we know they're so good at. And that's why it was kind of shocking they ended up losing that map. But that's just how it goes sometimes. A couple late rounds slip away from you, and then the whole game gets into a very unfortunate story.
Yeah, and against a team like Leviathan, who have that clutch factor, in their veins, it's very hard, man. They're going to make that very challenging. But here's the thing. Earlier in the show, guys, we asked y'all if Brazil will win 3-0 this weekend. And the results are in. So let's find out what you guys said. And yes, 51.8%, but people saying no, Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, wait, which is the 3-0? Is it Sentinels or is it MIBR?
Could be 4-0, guys.
It could be 4-0.
I mean, are we counting Sentinels as a Brazilian team?
It depends on who top frags, really. It depends on who does well in the server.
It depends how the sky is and where the sun is positioned in relation to. That makes a lot of sense.
Give him an honorary Brazilian citizenship. The guy deserves it.
All right, guys. Well, look, coming up after the break, Mimi is actually going to try and sell us a product that could make a team very successful. Question is, will we bite? She's going to step into the Spark Tank. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you guys on the other side. That sounded ridiculous.
Very good branding.
Welcome back, everyone. NRG really needs a win here today against Sentinels, and Mimi thinks that she could sell us on a way to get them to the top. Find out what happens in this installment of the Spark Tank. What? Okay, Mimi, please come in. Take it away. Welcome to the Spark Tank. We are the Sparks. On brand. What product do you have here
Thank you very much, folks. Today, I wanted to pitch you something that could help solve a problem that many teams have. But let's talk about NRG, the squad that we're talking about today, because they've had some issues in their opening game versus Leviathan. And that was some of these late round situations, the later parts of games where, you know, at times they were kind of running out of ideas. Happens the best of it. They have one of the world's best IGLs, but even then, you sometimes need a second voice in the fray to help you out, to help you get through those moments and avoid situations like this where games fall apart. That's that's not just an NRG problem, but many teams struggle with it. However, I'm very happy to say that I think I have a good solution for you folks to talk about here. And that is, of course, when you think about players who can help solve those problems, players who are great voices in the late round, who are fantastic individually, players like Sassy, like Durka, like a coach on the side of Leviathan come to mind. No, not yet. But this team, the one that I want to talk about is, of course, Saucy on the side of Sentinels. He's absolutely fantastic, a leader in the late rounds, coming up with ideas to help his IGL, and a consistently fantastic performer. But if there's one thing that makes him the player that he is, I wouldn't say it's his mouse or his aim or his brain or any number of those things. It's a different factor entirely, and that is, of course, that he's bald. This guy has a fantastic brain on his head because of the bald head. You can see it right there. It's absolutely beautiful. And my company, Bald Buff, hopes to help other teams to achieve that success. Let's take a look at my product here, folks. I'm gonna show this one to you. As you can see, absolutely beautiful. It means that you can make any player bald. And for NRG, right now, every single player has hair on their head, which is something that I can't stand for as a fan of that team. And so, to you folks, to the Sparks, I'm seeking $1 million for 1% equity in my company, the Bald Buff, to help improve every team in VCT Americas.
I'm sorry, did you say 1% equity?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
1 million?
1%.
1%, yes.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to just get really out in the way here real fast. Because I'm one of the follically challenged individuals here. I think that this is something I don't necessarily need, and so I'm out.
A shame. But you two folks, beautiful heads of hair on your head, and I'm sure that doesn't help you in your gameplay.
1%?
1%, sir, that's correct.
Already some people cut out of the market. For that reason, I'm out.
Sean, can we make a deal here? This could really help the team.
This could change the world.
I'm worried. The bald could easily turn into a mold.
You've seen so many players who are insane on this one. Think of Durka, think of Saucy. They're so good.
Yeah, but I'm worried about the mold. And what about the other issues this team faces? What about the language barrier issue?
Well, there's not going to be any mold when everyone is unified under baldness.
But no one can understand artists in this current iteration
Everyone
of the
is
team.
the same when they are bald. It's a factor of unity that you can't have. Surely we can make a deal here. I'm willing to negotiate, Sean.
Let me try to bring Wyatt back in here.
You want to bring me back?
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
I think I need him for the distribution purposes of this, if we were to...
I was seeking your mentorship and his network, of course.
Yeah, so...
Okay, they're whispering here. Obviously, a lot of deliberation. This is serious.
So I've talked with Wyatt, and
yes,
to approach you here, we're going to offer 3% at $500,000, and under the circumstance of you adding 2 Brazilian players to this team.
I can do the Brazilian players, cut it down to 2%. You have yourself a deal, sir.
Do you have a deal?
Do we have a deal?
We have a deal! Oh my God,
Enjoy
the
your new
Bald
products.
Buff.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You will
you
not
so
regret
much,
this
Mimi.
decision.
Thank you so much.
Wow,
Thank you.
unbelievable
Your team is gonna be
stuff.
awesome.
Mimi. Thank
Well,
you.
look, folks, we've got 2 great matches coming up today, and this obviously is a momentous occasion as we are going to be leading things off with Sentinels versus NRG. Now, before we start the show, we wanted to let everyone know that this stream does contain fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Of course, viewer discretion is advised. But folks, that is going to do it for us here. It is now time to kick things off here for VCT Americas. Let's get the show on the road.
You guys are looking great.
You look great.
Thank you, Mimi.
Everyone was talking about him, and this is going to be the guy to look out for.
Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't.
Olha, Escalabei, faz duplo abate, vamos, Fogão!
Se acaba tempo e leva!
We face NRG, and I think it's going to be a tough challenge for us, and I'm sure we need to step up to get the victory.
Sentinels, obviously the home crowd favorite usually. Basically all of last year we played against Loud, and Saucy and Pancata were a massive part of why they were able to win against us so consistently. So definitely some slight rivalries there.
5 HP per second, and Saucy gets 3! Austin are not able to do it the 4th for him!
When we face FNS, I think it's like a read game, you know? We need to always read them, so it's like this brain war, you know? We know how he likes to call, and I think he's a great IGL, so we might be careful about him.
How patient will he be? Oh, he spotted him. He's gotten it down to 1. The snap is there from Finesse anyway! The Red Bull clutch for NRG!
Cru já é time que a maioria dos times brasileiros teve dificuldade, né? Principalmente no passado. A Fúria conseguiu vencer agora, então acho que já tá mais diferente. Os times já entendem o jeito que eles jogam.
What a shot by Kessin! And it's halfway for Kessin, and he gets the NES. Welcome back to the world-class Wrecking Crew.
Va a ser interesante. Tienen jugadores muy buenos.
Man, there's nowhere to go, but holy smokes, what a shot from JZZ!
Yo creo que el jugador más peligroso es Hit. Lo que tiene él es interesante. Siempre un honor jugar contra él, pero nunca le damos ese momento para que él lo traiga al partido.
That's so big!
Se a gente fazer o nosso jogo, o que a gente está acostumado a fazer nos treinos, vai dar bom pra gente.
Two prolific teams in the Americas region square off here for the first time at the Riot Games Arena. NRG takes on Sentinels, and I have to say, Don, you gotta stop looking like a papi chulo coming out there and just changing my life every single time you walk out there. But I'm verklempt. Anyway, moving on. Moving on.
I mean, he does look good. I mean,
He looks good.
He does look good. You're not wrong.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna upset Mimi. Mimi
Call a spade a spade. You know what I'm saying?
I already asked. No more fun today.
No more fun?
Supposed to be doing business.
We have
okay, that makes sense.
Quota.
That makes sense.
Look at, I mean, Don does look ready for business. I mean, like we were talking about before, though, I think this match is going to be really important for just figuring out what the trajectory of both these teams are on. Where are the paths taking them?
Question, though, do you think that if NRG, if like, let's say, Sentinels end up winning, but it's a 2-1 close game. Let's just call it that route there. But it's still a close game. Do you still feel good about NRG? Or
I do, yes.
Yeah, you do?
Because I think that this team, I think people will
think
look
it's,
at
like,
that loss
necessary
against
that they win here?
I don't think it's necessary, but I do think it's important because, as we've seen, this league is very top-heavy. There's a lot of teams competing for that slot at Tokyo, and there's only 3 slots available. So winning this game is very important for both teams, especially NRG sitting 0-1 down.
To remain competitive, yeah.
But the thing is that Leviathan series, it wasn't that bad. Their pro was actually really good. I thought Finesse's
It was honestly just the Lotus, you know, where you
Lotus
felt
was
weird.
rough. They're still trying to figure out some of the role stuff with artists. Issues were there, but I'm not signing a death warrant for NRG.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone should, but now we get ready for our map select here, and let's see where we end up going for our first battleground here as the players are going to opt for their bans. But yeah, Wyatt, I mean, that's kind of just been my big question mark, where it's like, are people just going to be just vengeful, if either team loses here? Because this is a hard matchup to call.
Yes, I'm prepared to overreact to the
Are you really? Are you going to join the internet and overreact?
I'm ready to overreact no matter what happens.
Okay, like to see it. Interesting ban out of NRG. The split, that's been a map that both teams have been willing to play, but last time they got dumpstered by Loud, so not surprised.
Oh, look,
and
Lotus is
Sentinels
back.
picking the Lotus. As we've been talking about, NRG have had a weak point on that map. At Lock-In, they were playing the Sova. Didn't look particularly good. They tried another double initiator comp last week. Also didn't look particularly good. So I'm hoping that maybe they have something new.
From where I'm seeing here, Wyatt, everyone's getting what they want, is what it feels like. I feel like we got the Lotus, we have
What
the
I want is a Heineken 0.0 icebox.
Oh, I'm
I
parched
got
right
that.
now. I'm parched right now. I could really go for Heineken 0.0 now that you mention it. I'm glad to see the ice box back in the mix, though, for
The Heineken
NRG.
The Heineken 0.0 icebox.
Especially when there's Heineken 0.0 on the line.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad NRG have gone back to that pick. Everything else so far kind of making sense. I think the initial bans banning out good maps for the opposing side. Interesting, though, that Sentinels are going into the Lotus. I don't really know what they're going to be up to there,
That
but
could maybe just be a counter to what they
yeah,
saw.
I feel like that's
this is about
probably
to be
the
the
idea.
counter moment, yeah.
Yeah, and for Icebox as well, I'm really glad that NRG is going to that. The last two series, they were actually the team to pick Lotus, and historically, Icebox is a very good map for this squad, but last time both these teams played it, they played the basic comp, the variation without a jet, but with a KO instead.
Yeah.
And my quandary is, as we've talked about a lot of the times with Icebox, is do any of these teams go for the new stuff? Do they try out the harbor compositions? Because
True.
NRG has been implementing some of that. I don't expect it for Sentinels, because they've been focused more on comfort for their individual players, so I feel
Good
like
shout.
they'll go for more of the basic composition. Maybe they've cooked something up too.
I do like the series layout, though, for NRG. Honestly, you end out with the Pearl. Like, look, if you end up picking up the Lotus here for NRG, you got to be feeling solid for this team throughout the series. But, of course, now as we get into
Another
our
comp
agent
change.
select,
Artis is off the raids. This is the third composition that NRG is going to be trying on this map, Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, this is where there's
Victor Jet,
there's
this
the
is-
artist
this is
narrative. He
ancient.
plays everything. Yeah, I mean, the Victor Jet was kind of nice when he was on it back in like the Breeze days. It was when NRG were Optic then, but they were trying to figure out how to play Breeze effectively.
Yeah.
They switched Victor to Jet. It was unorthodox, but then he was nasty on it.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see him on that role. For the side of Sentinels, they go back to the double controller composition. I felt like this is actually a good comp for them in the past. And for NRG, they've only had a week to prep this one.
Yeah, I would hope that this is going to be heading in the right direction. I do like this idea, though, of getting Victor on the Jet. That's worked for them before.
All right, well, we've got the maps, we got the agents. Now we just need the casters. Let's send it over to Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Yeah, the crowd's fired up. Ball is too. Let's not tell him that the sign's upside down.
It's not upside down.
Well, you're right, actually. The sign's not upside down. His handwriting just was. Let's talk comps. Right off the bat, NRG already making a change. Thoughts on that? Valorant.
Thoughts on that? I mean, Victor back to Jet is ridiculous. That's such
Yeah.
a complete out of left field thing. Artis is on this team.
Yeah.
What is he for if not to play the Jet?
Well, and I think it's interesting, too, because you're making two changes here. It's not just that you've taken Artis off of the Duelist, but then you're going from the Raze to the Jet, too. Really feels like there are some fundamental things that they feel like are being addressed by this change.
Yeah, I think the first thought I have when I'm looking at this change is Victor was one of the guys who was very comfortable on this map against Leviathan. So let's see if he can still maintain that comfortability against tens of all people.
Oddly enough, as soon as you say that, he takes some spray, but it's actually Artis who draws first blood.
And this was a role he was playing for the team at Lock-In. This Killjoy, he is so flexible, so comfortable to go for these picks that the team requires of them. And it's interesting that we're going straight up against Sentinels here in the second week, because Sentinels is led towards comfortability where NRG is asking their players to be uncomfortable.
NRG trying to find a couple of other openers, and they are. I mean, the defenses of Sentinels have essentially crumbled here on the site, and Def may be trying to make a swing back at things. But it's just not going to matter. It's
That
not
was
gonna be
quick.
enough. Yeah.
That Trailblazer from Finesse instantly not only gets them the space, they get past and up their wall where there's a little pocket, by the way, that they can walk into the site with. And that was unexpected for the Sentinels players on the site. Gets a stun off, and Victor's on top of him. Artis is on top of him. Everybody right there. As well as the push through tree coming through the rotating door. That's a good pistol for NRG. Way to start off this game.
That timer's frozen, Bola. That timer's not moving.
Yeah. Probably a tech pause here right off rip. All good.
All good. Hopefully it won't be long. As soon as we find out what it is, we'll keep you all informed.
And I think as well, when you're looking at the comp changes, this is not only very new, but you're still dealing with some of the changes that we've seen from this team in the past. Finesse recently picking up the Sky for this comp as well. So it's very, very important to keep eyes on all of these players, how they're actually using their utility. Is there going to be any flubs, or have they really practiced to become proficient, very proficient at this role? While the Sky is new for Finesse, the initiator role is not. He played Breach on a number of different maps. Very different how those agents actually control mechanically, though. And then the other thing on the other side, Sentinels with this Harbor Viper leading into the Brazilian meta with the 2 Brazilians on their team, Sassy and Def. It's very good at actually handling defaults and retaking map control, just like you see right now, but just classics. They're gonna go for orbs instead, and I like this later in the round rather than where NRG's set up to actually spray through a wall or anything like that. They're in the middle of rotating.
You mentioned that orb they did, that they just got mid. They also grabbed the orb on A for Def, and you can tell it was very much part of the plan. They pushed down A main initially, grabbed that orb, and then used a Harbor utility to get another one B.
So while both teams struggled for the orbs in the beginning, now they're leading back over towards C, and it is an eco, so we do see the gamble from Sentinels on the minimap. Not quite in the right position here. And while we did lose the Rays, we still have the double dive possible here with the Omen and Jets.
30 seconds left.
Take space vertically and in the back of sight and break angles up.
Spike planted.
NRG getting the spike down. There should not be any challenge, at least for a little while. As Ball, as you were saying, Sentinel's really just on the opposite side of the map, now starting to rotate over.
And Def is 3 orbs off, so look to funnel him potentially a kill. And look for him to die to the players of NRG. But for NRG, they're trying to funnel orbs to, I believe it should be Crashes here or Artis. But neither of them actually taking frontal fights right now. Oh. There's a big flank, a pinch attempt here from Victor.
Here.
What the Sentinels players want to do is die at a spike without any, except for Def maybe. But they're coming in from the backside. They might even find all the kills. And Finesse is committing to the site for it too.
Sentinel's still managing to die 3 to the spike. And we'll see, again, as we keep an eye on this ult counter, how close Def is. Yeah, now just 2 points away from having that Reckoning online.
And both of these teams have been committing to the light armor meta in full effect. Not every single team in Americas is doing that, but Sentinels and NRG, both of them, happy to go for it. Even rumors that Sentinels was scrimming with just Guardians in effect to counter the light armor strat. It's the pace you expect out of NRG. Just one cascade and they're still holding behind the wall, not really going forward. Something that did hurt them against Leviathan on this map was how often they were challenging and getting hard punished, both in A main and C mound right here.
Yeah, I mean, they just got destroyed at that aspect of the game. You're absolutely right.
Poison's off.
Good attempt there from Crashes. Second looking for a jump spot, looking for information, looking to spot Crashes, but Crashes has his crosshair pointed on him, but Tens is very advanced here. Here comes the Trailblazer that's been so good.
That flash.
Every time they get a stun.
Tens should be able to get away.
That is impressive from Tens. Normally you'd see him commit to a fight there, but there, Smoke dashes away and escapes unscathed.
Poison orb emitting.
It's close with it too. NRG looking like they want to end C. The one exception being Crashes. He's way far up on A by himself. And he did just get hit by that flash. Do they draw rotates over? Yeah, take a look at Def. He's creeping back towards A. Now they know that the hit's on C, and it may be okay because Sentinels are holding them back anyway.
Blocking sight. I got the spike.
And they didn't even get in 20 seconds, yeah. They're gonna pivot to B. They're definitely making an attempt at this. It's Def to respond. 12 seconds.
Victor weak. Artis close by, and he's the first to fall, yeah. Very well played by Sentinels.
Incredibly clean. And NRG, they're getting a wake-up call about what's waiting for them on the C site. It's the Brazilian duo. The Portuguese phenoms. Over here on that C site, there's 2 mollies there. The Nano Swarm and then the Viper Molly coming in if they could find the timing, but Victor tried to avoid all of that by going dry, but the turret received him. So if he can maybe put it in his mind to try to break that turret early, that's more of an option later on in the round, but there definitely wasn't. The TenZ position all the way up in B. They threw a high tide instead of a cascade this time to cover both B and Mound. So same effect over by Mound, but it allows TenZ to get into this position very safely. So Zekin and TenZ, the double duelist duo of this team. And NRG's been pivoting. There for the first time you see a Trailblazer that doesn't get a stun for Finesse.
Toxin screen down.
And it's left Def on an island.
He does have Reckoning, and he is playing pretty far back.
So ideally to be playing retake. Wait for his team to actually regroup, and the door is visible now to them. On the minimap with the 50 seconds left, Artis doesn't have the spike. One off his lockdown though. This is a fast flood before the spike's even tapped, before the spike's even out of tree.
You're absolutely right. Are they going to be able to handle the chaos? Sam dancing around the smoke is concealing so much, and TenZ dropped right into his lap. NRG able to get 2.
30 seconds
You still have Def close by. Playing and drop. Position now revealed. They've got them trapped. They've got them trapped to the side, and NRG may be perfectly okay with that.
Spammable with 15 seconds.
You just have no idea that that's where the plan is. Now he knows. Saucy's still patient.
Portuguese mode activated.
It's just them 2 in this 2v5. That would be outrageous. Now Saucy's left by himself. He's got a Phantom. He's tucking tail. He's getting out of there.
Not quite powerful enough, but that flood failed miserably. I think it was Zekin literally fell onto Victor's lap. He caught him. And TenZ is back turned. That flash didn't find value either out of Zekin, because everybody was so grouped up right on top of that smoke. Good idea. Execution lacking there from Sentinels. It's not like that C-hold. Oh, it did get value actually on Victor, but Sam completely dodged it because it wasn't low enough. That smoke was obscuring one whole side of that flash.
1 enemy remaining.
Yeah, NRG just look so much better right now. It's the second flawless round they've put together.
Here.
They find themselves up 2 rounds early on Lotus.
Better than last week against the Vietnam.
That's for sure.
Just the opening moments of this map, though. TenZ got the op now. I was looking to see if we could get that up early.
Oh, spam.
That's huge. Also breaks the molly too, which does actually save his mollies and alarm bot from going down. And there it is. They're popping another one to break it down. And the execute's on.
I mean, Victor's already so far up, and he's separated right now. The cascade from Harbor's keeping him at a distance.
They cleared the site, but they're not on yet. They're going to use a lockdown?
They still have players up in heaven, too. They still have players in Link. You gotten Victor on the site, but where do you go from here?
TP on the plant here from Sam.
He's got to scale up. He's got to take some of his space away. It's exactly what Victor's doing. The spike planted, Def waiting on the other side, and Saucy close by. They have no idea where Victor was.
Good movement.
Managing to stay alive for now. Ultimately falling. TenZ still has that op, and he's finally showed up into the scene. Sam not able to hit the transfer. TenZ does hit the shot, but Finesse just waits patiently as TenZ dies again.
Good understanding there from NRG. Actually, Victor clearing the site. But while he was doing that, he lost control of Waterfall. He lost control of Heaven, even though he did spot those positions out. They don't want to walk into the spam. So they use the lockdown. Secure. A lot more space, which, by the way, Victor is able to reclaim because of it. And it's just not clean on that reclear. Up in Heaven, and Zekin again, not finding super much value out of that flash. And for it being the only flash on this team, you're hoping that that can find a little bit more value on those floods. So far in this game, we look to be achieving a sense of normalcy in what we expected from the North American teams, as the score 4-1. This is what I think people were expecting from NRG, were expecting from Sentinels, giving a little bit more time to Sentinels. But that win over 100 Thieves last week and that loss from NRG subverted all the expectations, put NA in a sense of flux. Are they even going to make it to Tokyo? And then the further question, which of the NA teams are going to miss out on playoffs? Because that's the situation as it stands. We don't really know anymore. There was expectations, but at this point, it's all fluxed up.
Three-round lead here for NRG. They've got Blades. They have the Omen ult too. And it's a light buyout for Sentinels.
First attempt at a fast A control here from NRG. And it works out. This is what was missing against Leviathan. There were so many good challenges from that team. And Sentinel's not opting to go for any of that, except for on the side of TenZ right now, all up by himself at Mound.
Not much to him either, just the Sheriff. But he's still holding up space for the time being. The only person close enough to really challenge is Crashies, and you can tell he's just kind of waiting for it. I wonder if he's expecting a little bit of push towards mid off of the flash from Zekin. Either way, the door hit once again, A.
Just looking for picks through that. Give some dynamic timings on that door where you can clear the space and potentially hold it.
They are going to funnel through. Tree taken.
That's 4 door taps at this point.
Yeah. So many mind games being played. You see the paranoia and the flash. They've dropped the Seekers too. And the spam out deals some serious damage early on.
Molly actually prevents Finesse from planting.
Where is he going?
But look at TenZ. He had not moved this entire time.
He stays?
Oh.
He's done. Oh my goodness. Well played. As we see this round likely closing out here very soon, Sam's going to continue to hunt for a couple of these frags. We'll see if he's able to clean them up. Dev spots him. They know where the pressure's coming from. Really no challenge, though, for the Vandal. Yeah, it's interesting, Ball. I think back to the last time we saw NRG on Lotus and how lost they looked, right? Like, they got obliterated. It seemed like they had no real plan. They didn't know what they wanted to do. This is getting a little bit closer than they would like, but cleaned up eventually. That, I even just think about that Som TP, and that just feels like, yep, they're hitting the level that we're used to seeing out of them as far as the big picture of how they want to approach the map.
Yeah, and I think that situation is exactly where they needed to find a little bit more creativity. Because they were getting on the sites. It was just Leviathan was rolling them on those retakes.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember NRG not winning a single post plant in that game. Now, that could be wrong. Leviathan was flooding them so fast. It was definitely causing them problems because they were not only allowing them to take the sites in the ways that they wanted, but they were also holding on to that space very, very well.
Same cascade we've seen the last couple of rounds. This time, TenZ waiting on the other side with an op.
Flash and Trailblazer, but the Trailblazer does spot him.
Played a little ring around the rosy for a second.
Crazy part, though, is that second cascade coming in right as TenZ falls back. But that also prevents them from going further on that flash off that Trailblazer. So they've just wasted 2 key pieces of initiation utility for nothing.
And it looks like they're going to end back C. Zekin still has a little something to him. Should be able to spot out some of the presence still playing at Mound.
Trailblazer to follow up, and then he also has a flash potential off of TenZ first shot.
There's TenZ, that first shot just narrowly missing. It seems like they want to end B, and they don't go the doorway, too.
Look at Victor. He's always on such a good path. Dashing towards heaven, smoking it off, and then clearing the doorway. So while they lost key pieces of initiation utility, they pulled all the rotates off, and now they've got a pit down.
Oh, Finesse once again. He's going to get another kill where he's just able to drop a couple of bullets into the back of someone's head. His positioning has been excellent.
And that's the cue as well for Victor to take the space A main so he can get away from this lockdown. They're going to push it.
They just don't have much control on the extremities either.
Can they even get to Som in time? No, they've got to go for the spike here.
And even if they do, you still have Victor who's on the flank. You've got Finesse who's creeping around the corner as well.
Nobody tapped. Nobody
Tom's
tapped.
back up. Zekin's back down.
There's no time anymore.
No.
That's confusing there from Sentinels, I have to say. Not a single person even going for the tap. I'm wondering if there was mollies going off that I just didn't see. Possibly was. Artist wasn't B main. And they're getting these sites very, very easily, NRG.
We'll take a look at it again. Finesse has gifted another. I think you're right. They're able to get onto the site very effectively. And I think once again, you know, we've touched on this a little bit, but they're being proactive in their controlling of the elsewhere on the map, right? They aren't just satisfied with controlling the site. They're controlling choke points or controlling pinches elsewhere on the map. That's just causing so many fits for Sentinels here.
And it's piecewise too. It's step by step on everything that they're doing. Even when Artist gets on the site, they're still trying to check all the boxes. Slowing down, waiting for each other. It's very disciplined. This is a huge shift. And maybe it's just comfort against the teams they're familiar with. They've been the kings of NA for so long at this point.
Could be that. It could be role changes. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's working. Much more than we saw last time.
And it's different looks too. Samus joined up with Victor here. He's going to easily receive 10s, although he's got knives.
Oh, I thought he was going to land the second. Had that been a Sheriff, maybe. But no. 2v2 here. Seeker's dropped. Second still has the op. So, there's just not a lot of time here.
No more mollies.
The molly's there. Crashy's having to hold it back, and he cannot.
What a pickup there from Sentinels. There's that fragging ability from both Zekin and Tens. The double duelist duo. Although on this map, and I have to say, I think all the maps that we see in this pool that we'll see today, NRG has forced them away from those maps where they actually do activate. Tens goes for the right click, easily takes out Victor, but with only a classic in that one. And Zekin too. Huge. What else is in the tank here from Sentinels? It's like for the first time, Zekin's on the opposite side of Tens.
They put the op back in his hands too.
I've got your trail.
Fast ult gets canceled. It's a good spot when you're going for a fast C hit.
I feel like we just saw him have that ult too. I mean, they're just dumping utility all over the site, man. The paranoia, the flash, the mollies, everything. But the Reckoning is going to cause problems. This site is so tight.
A Trailblazer.
Sam's just done, man. He's dead. He got up a little bit too far.
And they've retaken it completely. There's still even more retake tools, though.
There's so much utility here they're going to have to navigate. You've got the nanos. You've got the alarm bots. Forcing a reposition. Tens with the op. He got by, but does he aware? Does he know? The swing timing is just too good as Victor gets a second. 3v3 on for the side here. Finesse dancing around the door. Saucy waiting to see if anyone dare challenge.
Hello?
Oh, gosh. That was so close. I mean, can Sentinels get in here? It's another late round situation that's now a 2v2.
Finesse let Saucy in way too deep there. You got to kill, and Victor's trying to play the time. Cove's going up. They have nobody to spam this right now.
This is going to be close. They're going to be able to steal this. They got it to half. You're just going to spam their way through. Huge jab from Finesse. Can he get the 1v1? Jeff on the tap, on the hold, but Finesse with the swing and the clutch.
Again, the leader showing up clutch for this team. This time while fully in control. This time while reading the map as well. This time while finding the right methods to get on the site over and over and over. It's gotta be like 80% of the rounds that we've seen so far at this point. Last bullet on that one too. And it was Sasu who went back on it because he thought he was gonna be done with the bullets. That's a little unlucky there, but Finesse as well. Channeling Victor's horseshoe.
You got Tens again up on an angle with the Sheriff this time. They're just very carefully, very systematically clearing out every angle A main.
This is now Sentinels approaching B main, trying to find artists, trying to threaten these flanks. Sassy looked at it in the last one, and he called it the War of the Brains. In one of those interviews that you saw early on, he said that was the win condition, was trying to figure out how Finesse is calling on the map. Currently losing that battle.
And this is just another wrinkle to what NRG are able to introduce on this attacking side. They're burning the clock so far down.
But it's never too far down. There's one round where maybe it was 15 seconds where they actually start to go for the execute, but look, they're gonna have plenty of time, no matter mollies, no matter anything.
Sentinels have been quick on the rotate, though. They already have 4 members here. Paranoia's gonna hit a couple, and you see Victor dashing forward anyway. Ten's cleaning him up. How much can Zed find? There's the second. The pistols are so good from Sentinels, and now you have rifles that have arrived. Artists in this 1v3, turning 1v2. 8 seconds on the clock. You've got the turret. You still have Pankata and Saucy you're gonna have to deal with. And he cannot.
Just pistols there from Sentinels. They recover after that clutch very quickly. And you're right, I mean, burning the clock. It's making Sentinels sweat. But at a certain point, you're seeing them now start to try.
Multiple enemies A.
Tens mode. They're trying to make the gambles at the end of the round. And this is the first one where it really pays off. They had 4 members there. They were flooding. They had flashed before even coming back onto the site. They got a high tide at the perfect time. That one was tough for NRG to crack. First real denial there of the plant.
Blades online for Victor. No early target spotted. Orb's gonna get Finesse one step closer to having Seekers. And it looks like it's gonna be another slow round from NRG.
It's been the tone for this entire map. It's been the tone for NRG so far. And in the past too. Victor with knives. Look to want to hit the C-side a lot faster. Let's see if they can get this lockdown down. Force Sassy off. I've been looking for opportunities to use that. Oh, hold on, a clash. Tens.
By himself. Huge out from Artis. And now they know that Tens is on the other side with the op. The jump peek is too good, but Crashes is better. Paranoia out, and Zekin's gonna fall to it.
Last round in the half.
It's a brutal, brutal hold. I like the idea from Sentinels, but it was a hold in the sense that they're actually receiving the aggression through that rotating door. And again, I'm looking for opportunities for Sassy to get this pit down. A lot of times when you hit this C site, you've seen teams, you've seen Leviathan specifically, fall back and use a pit.
Here.
That covers so much of that exit for you in spawn. Surprised to not see him do that one. The idea is to play retake as well.
He is on the opposite side of the map, choosing not to use it early. While they had, what, 4 members stacked today? They get Tens into a good position and then start to rotate off. Def now joining the likes of Sassy on the opposite side of the map. And yeah, okay, they are going to spot him. They know where Tens is. The Paranoia, once again, you see him dashing away and getting away with the 2.
Sassy uses the pit at the meantime over towards that C site. Crash is going to go investigate, see how it's played, see which one they put down. Are there any gaps? Do they have a protocol for this exact pit? Probably not anymore without that Trailblazer. They're still spread on the map, not wanting to fully commit to this. With 50 seconds still, Zekin with the Seekers as well. Pankata with the ult. Those can be used reactively to stop this late hit coming in from NRG. I think they want to pivot through the broken door here.
About 35 seconds left in the round, and as you were mentioning, there's still a lot of delay tools here on the defensive side.
30 seconds
Mainly
left.
looking at Pankata's ult. As soon as there's enough of a queue, there it is. And they're going to rotate B. And Tense is here with the shorty. He's going to push into it! But Victor wins it out with a shorty of his own. They don't really have time to pivot anywhere else. They're going to have to commit to B. And you see them both. Vipers passing right by one another. Crash, he's patiently waiting and rewarded for it. Now Finesse once again. Oh, he may have gone up a bit too far. No.
I've got your trail.
Beautiful round again from NRG. The war of the brains is, I mean, especially when you look at that kill from Crash. He's on the Saucy coming out of that pit. He set that up. They set that up for so long at the beginning of the round. They get the lockdown out on A. All of their goals in that round were achieved and given to them by Sentinels. Everything went well in there. And then as well, they have the ability to do this. Victor just hits him right back with a shorty of his own. It's ridiculous from him.
Very well done out by Sentinels, or excuse me, by NRG. They have a 9-3 lead at half in the opening map of this best of 3. Golden Boy, what do you think? 9-3 good?
Look, I'm just not one. I don't believe in curses. Okay,
that's good.
I'm not today. Okay, not on this day. All right, I think this is going to be good, honest, clean Valorant. That is what we're going to be seeing for. But that being said, though, good, honest, clean Valorant is exactly what we got from NRG because Mimi, they look stupendous. They're playing their comp incredibly well, and the results are in the scoreline.
Yeah, with Sentinels on this defensive side, I think one of the biggest issues with their composition that shows is that they have no line control, no Omen with a Paranoia, no Breach, and nothing like that to early take a long and fight that space, which is normally a priority on this map. So a lot of the times, they kind of had this choice of do we anchor sites or do we more often play into these retakes? And what they ended up doing so often was playing for retake because Finesse was calling a really good game in the mid round. Take a look at this round, round number 7, which was one of many where in the late round, NRG managed to get a plant down on this B site. And despite the fact in this one that there was a lockdown to retake, that it was Sentinels playing the whole time, they had Som reposition into Link, they had a player towards long. It was all really good ideas to counter that out. And that shows me FNS has a fantastic read on the comp of his opponent.
Yeah, I really like how they're using the Victor Jet in this composition. I think it's perfect, and it's a great adjustment from how they were using Artis on the Raze previously. It allows you to get those explosive sight hits, but I like this alternative approach with the Jet, where they're still using him to dash entry into the sites, but he's not going so aggressive that he's just kind of maybe trading one for one at best or setting up a teammate for the trade. He's actually throwing down the smokes, managing to stay alive, kind of play around this site, find some picks while the retake is coming in. It's not just this like all or nothing approach that they kind of had before, and that also speaks to the FNS game plan. I like how they're rotating around the map and positioning him in those situations effectively.
Yeah, but 9-3 I think is still doable for Sentinels. This composition is better on the attack side. There's a lot of options in the mid round with the Viper Harbor. And this is a side of the map that NRG really struggled on with their previous comps.
Yeah, well, you know, we're going to see if NRG learned some lessons from last week. Let's go ahead and send it back over to your casters. Now, Doug, do you believe in 9-3? Back over to you.
I don't think I do. I'm not gonna lie.
Shut up, Mr. 9-3 blessing.
3-9 blessing. Come on, it's a 3-9 blessing. All right. But I do think Mimi makes a good point. I think the composition for Sentinels, given that it's their attack side now, given that you should have a bit more agency and more ability to control the map with 3 sites, like
now or never.
I don't know that it's as done of a deal as you would think otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, especially given you still have a very similar control setup here from Sentinels 2. They can burn him down just like NRG did just a half ago. We'll see though. All starts right here. Already trying to gain some control over towards C-Long, but it's unsuccessful. Look, NRG again re-clearing. And they get a setup that if they do choose to pivot, looks like they want to go for just a fast B split here. If they have to pivot all the way back towards C, that's a really good setup late.
Clearing out the panel, dropping utility through it as well. And now the dash forward. Victor having to throw it back. And they're going to have full site control.
While we had something like 11 plants in that first half. Sentinel starting off in the exact same way. These Harbor Viper comps, so good. Sassy up close though.
Even flash, yeah, it was just too close. He was able to spot him, able to see him. Now Dev sprayed with the frenzy.
Finesse is on the spike. I don't even think they know. I think they were paranoid the entire time. Oh my goodness.
They were able to stop him though. That's huge. I thought he was gonna seal it.
I thought so too. Zekin aware. The final second, he had 1 HP when he went to challenge Finesse there. Bit of a gamble. I like the idea, Som and Finesse combined to get the flashes going and then the smoke on the spike while those flashes are still affecting the players. I think the Q was actually the smoke. I don't think they actually heard that because I certainly didn't. All starts on the pistol. And NRG did have a little bit of success on these light eco rounds. 1 share of 3 frenzies. It is dangerous.
They're just so bold, man. They just push right through the cascade. Unawares as to what's on the other side, but they choose to do it anyway. And now they've got this, what could potentially be a devastating flank.
I have to draw parallels to, like, I mean, the last time we saw Victor on Jet was on those Breeze maps. And while towards the end of that comp, didn't look as clean. At the very beginning when they pulled it out, when they pulled out the neon comps, all those different innovative stuff that they did, it looked so
Spike
good.
down
Artist
A.
with the first kill finds the spike too. So he knows exactly how this is going down. The spike is headed towards A and they're pinching on them from all sides.
Victor's a cloud burst too, or he just clears it out. Second spots him, clears him up.
Spike planted.
Yeah, but there's more than one flanker there.
I don't know that they know either. Oh, yes, it's a frenzy, though.
Won't matter either because Artist was already coming from the doorway, and if they leave the rotating door closed, they'll know they have to come through main. Looking for exits now. Here. You saw the shift right there, completely. Just everybody backed up a little bit more, got very tight. And there's really no serious escape here for the side of Sentinels. Might be a lot of guns lost. And they make the right read going up through spawn. Everybody wants to die to Spike.
Yeah. Hell, they're the ones who...
No. Good Molly. There wasn't time either. Slow, methodical from Sentinels. And even though it was NRG encroaching on all sides, they still managed to not get squeezed out there. They still managed to find a way out. First gun round of the game. Everybody light armor on the server.
And NRG with another aggressive push towards A main.
Here.
Victor now, the first one forward. And it seems like Sentinels may be pushing their way in. How far up does Victor go?
I'm wondering if there's a real good combination here.
Yeah, they have a paranoia perhaps from some. Oh, you're just gonna back on out.
Yep. I mean, very similar protocol to what Tens was doing, but instead Victor activates his dash and stays on the angle after he gets cleared by the Trailblazer. And there finally uses it. I like that. How much longer he saves his dash, how he doesn't actually need to use his smoke there. You can see the optimization there from Victor, slightly better than the protocol out of Tens. But will it matter? They've got a tree set up here. We did not really see this sort of thing from Sentinels, but Spike's on the other side of the map. Def's high tide coming back up. They just cycled the wall, doors being popped open as well. But the Trailblazer cleared so much just then, down from stairs. It's only 3 players here against Crashies.
30 seconds left.
Is that gonna be enough? Drops the first Molly, still has the second. And just in the nick of time, Finesse seems like he's showing up. Artist is too. The rotation top to Trot, not far behind.
Here.
Good Molly there for Crashies to keep the push back. Tens definitely wanted to go for it. They're still gonna go for it.
Flash forward, Crashies dancing around the cloud burst, and Tens was blind. They may have gone up just a bit too far. Now starting to back up and fight for control of the site. You see them white-knuckling their way to try to keep them back. But the energy flood trying to funnel through. Victor getting one back. 3v3 here for the rest of the site. Artist spraying through as Victor's gotten the third.
Enemy remaining.
Fourth.
1 HP.
They want it.
Huge round from Victor. I don't know where that came from. He just came out of spawn and did what Finesse could not. Off that early peak.
If any of you die,
And I thought for a moment there Zekin was farming on the site with that Bulldog. Against the light armor, the Bulldog a lot more effective.
Stay down.
You see him spraying frantically. Here's the kills from Victor.
3.
Nasty things.
Enemy remaining.
Nasty, nasty things from the man himself.
5-round lead for NRG. The only real ult close by is Victor's in the Blades, 1 point away. Meanwhile, Zekin has a very good engage to win his.
Are they going to challenge here? Finesse throws the flash, see if they walk out in front of that one way. And because of that, they do not challenge. Victor's success in that last round reminds me of how he was asked to shift his role so much for this core. From initiator to flex to initiator to duelist. When Ye last year had to play the chamber. And he did it every single time. Here he is again on a star player role with star player performances.
Shadows traveling.
He's delivering. The door tap.
Got your trail.
Will he get challenged? The Seeker's cleared. Where do they go off of this? They've taken a lot of B main control, but you still have so much utility from Artis on B. And then you still have to deal with Artis himself.
Damage done, but not the kill. High Tide will get them the spike down. Look at the flank still here, though, Crashies. Very curious.
He still has a turret up, though.
Toxins going up.
Oh, it just went down.
He's gonna slip the net.
Pancada's up in waterfall. He doesn't even realize.
He's gonna slip the net, and the flash doesn't tag anything either.
Get out of my
Saucy keeping one back, expecting the other. That's 3 on the round for him, but can Crashies play hero? No, he cannot. The timing's just not great. Pancada getting 2 massive kills at the end. The Sentinels get to 6.
I'm not sure if Pancada had the right timing to come back there after he left his turret go down, or if that was uncomfortability on the roll. I'm leaning towards the latter, and he ends up getting fortunate on the timing that they walk back through waterfall after clearing it. But either way, it is Saucy and Pancada to combine to clean up this round. He's explosive. He really is. You've been seeing a lot of multi-kills for him on this new role. Not playing the initiator that he normally is. And he's playing fantastic. One of the biggest questions for the Sentinel squad after last week was, are the champions on this team going to step back up to champion level form with the new roles? They've got a lot to learn.
Deep harbor wall. They're gonna dash forward. Crashies is there, and he's ready, and he's waiting, and he gets one that was free.
That was an accident.
Yeah.
Pancada goes down by accident. He was vulnerable and decayed through that orb. And the spray that actually was taking down tens. Oh gosh. Oh. A wild jump peek from Finesse.
It was wide. He was so wide.
I think the reason he survived might have been how wild that was.
Yeah. Def getting the spike down. Sentinels still have a shot at this. They're just down 1, and they have the pit now.
They can't really play this. They're playing underneath, and that's a little scary because those guys can walk up and negate the near sight.
Look at that wall. You have a wall protecting the pit. So many layers that NRG are gonna have to get through. Flash getting 1. They're waiting, they're patient now, they start to flood out. Victor getting 1 with the blades, but he's weak! And Zekin getting 2 with the spam. It's a 1v1, but Victor's 1 HP.
Okay, it's coming back.
Yeah, it's back. The flash is good though from Zekin!
And we might just yet have a game still. 3 rounds the difference now. You thought, especially after winning that first gun round, that NRG may just run away with it. Look at this kill on the tens, and Pancada was the first guy he shot by accident there. That's
falling.
Absurd.
He was falling, bro. Like, that's just unlucky, man.
And Zek in the spray through that pit that Saucy got up. He kept it up for so long. The NRG players were suffocating inside of it that Zekin just needs to breathe on them. And it sucks the life out of the round now. NRG with the timeout. NRG need to come up with the plans. On attack side, it was flawless from them. Really, really good ideas. So far in this defense, they're not really doing an amazing job at stopping these hits. And when they came in there, that was, again, battle of the brains. Saucy leading the way, finding that lurk. It's huge. You saw him get a little bit more comfortable with making those proactive decisions on that first half where he was flanking the door, flanking all the way back around A main, pushing B link. those sorts of things, and it's still continuing this half. He definitely has a read on the game.
Meanwhile, NRG seem to have lost theirs. They've just won one round on this half. But they still have a 3-round lead they can work with.
I have to also think, this is Sentinel's map pick. How important is this in this map pool? I already mentioned a little bit how NRG, in my mind, got this a little favored throughout all 3 maps here because they're avoiding the double duelist of Fracture and Split the entire time. Forcing maps like Lotus, forcing maps like Pearl. And Icebox even, you could consider that one too.
That's a big key. The Seeker's online now for Finesse.
Artist is locked down as well. In this situation, definitely power ults that could swing the round, but they're not exactly ones that fully guarantee it.
What are they waiting for here? Victor gonna feel some pressure with the Trailblazer and shoots True to try to clear it out. Gives his position away and has to tuck tail.
I think one of the things there that you're looking at both Def and Saucy playing such passive positions behind that wall are hoping that instead of re-aggroing and re-clearing down C like NRG is doing consistently, they'll swap that over to A in the late round. Breaks the door open for those Seekers to go through, get a little bit more info.
Tenz is already on site.
Look at the last Seeker all the way in spawn right now, actually giving them all the information. All 5 players now going to be here for the NRG squad.
They use the lockdown. There's still going to be tree that Sentinels can play in. They get the spike down, and yeah, they're going to tuck right on back. And if that's not enough, you also have Saucy who's playing off further back.
They're swinging back in the side.
And they hit the door to pretend that they're going to be pulling off, but they want to take the fight to NRG. And it's gone 2 for 2, the dash, and now Zekin swinging around, and Zekin able to get 2, the 3rd on the round for him. Finesse just on the other side. A 4K for the young star on Sentinels.
He is going crazy this game on the Sky. 18-11, top fragger on the server. And it's moments like that. A great call from Sentinels to reflood into the site after they realize that lockdown's not pushing them far.
Yeah.
And you expect from the NRG side that they're not going to do that. They're going to sit back in tree. They're going to go for post plants. Just try to find picks on the entry back in. But because of that flood, they lost track of where all the players were coming back out of. That smoke from Tenz as well. It's going great.
This has the potential to be chaotic. Look at how far up NRG are on C. Sentinels once again wanting to fight with the paranoia. Oh my gosh, it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
That is so cool from Victor and Psalm. The paranoia deafens them. And Victor goes for the updraft dash. They have no way to track that while deaf. You have to hear the audio cues of those updrafts. And he gets the disgusting flank off with just a classic, mind you.
Poison orb emitting.
And a huge round out from NRG. Again, in a situation where they didn't have a ton of buys. You alluded to the classic previously. Crashies has a stinger. They're able to scoop up some of the weapons. Now Victor and Finesse having rifles, Sam as well.
And more layers to that too while we have a second. They tap that orb, expecting the trap there from Tenz to peek through the one-way and try to challenge the player with the orb. And once that trap is triggered, that's when the paranoia comes in. Sentinels is trying to group to receive the anti-eco push. Battle of the brains continue.
Yeah, that's a telestrator play right there.
That is. That one was a lot of fun. They're going to continue 15 seconds. They got all the guns already, so happy to chase down Saucy.
Perhaps get another rifle. Artist was the only one, and yeah, he's going to get something. Now 4 rifles carried into that round from NRG.
Yeah, they might have just given themselves room for almost the rest of this game economically just because of that one thrifty. I'm not sure if it's a reset for Sentinels. We need to check on that one. Look, everybody, and the flash as well coming in late. They have no clue. Look how grouped up they were. All 4 players hit by that paranoia.
Last player standing.
Oh, and it's cold from Finesse too. Usually, yo, he's popping off on the stage. Especially after a call like that.
Dialed in. A timeout called here as we near the end of this opening map. Still a 3-round lead for NRG. You know, you mentioned the coldness out of Finesse in situations like that. I just go back to the previous round where Zekin face like no expression in his face, but still playing up to the crowd. Like you can tell these are just two like this feels like a match that is delivering in the way that we expected, right? Like Sentinels looking better as the season has gone on, and NRG on return to form from last week. It just feels like a heavyweight fight.
I mean, this could definitely be the two best teams in North America. I think we're trying mostly to place them outside of that, but the battle for the Americas League is not fought within North America only. But it still matters so much to these teams.
Placing swarm grenade.
Sentinels down 3.
Placing alarm bot.
Interesting too. We haven't really seen Sentinels go for something fast and aggressive, and right now they're all stacked up A into the op from Victor.
Doesn't have the same leeway here with the Phantom that he did, and he does get tagged. A lot of damage actually done to him. Part of that was the decay of running back through the wall. Still gets a bullet though in the leg. Surprised to see him going for the op when he's finding success with the Phantom, especially on the retakes. But he does have that knives as a secondary option.
They've got them trapped. Yeah, the pit's there, and they're also controlling panel. There was a flash. Victor now landing the shot with the op.
Surviving every time, though. Heels coming back up. Saucy.
Oh, he's getting so far up. And he walks right into the shorty barrel.
The game sense from Victor is insane right now with those shorties.
Only a couple of members left for Sentinels on A, and it feels like they're spread a little thin. What's the cue for NRG to go? Where do they pounce? Zekin already falls. Death able to take one with him, but that's all it is, and it would be an outrageous play out from Pakala for him to pull that off, but he cannot. Sam's gonna get the defuse. NRG are gonna get to 12. And they still have the op for Victor.
And he still has his knives, too. I don't think he popped them. He used the shorty instead as the secondary.
Match point.
In situations like that, anyways, the knives are going to be used in the same sense of a shorty, where you're just trying to get a right-click kill while you go back to your primary.
Right.
Because it is so cheap. I mean, the knives in this instance can kill from a much longer range with the right-click. But I have to point out the game sense from Victor there to recognize Saucy was going to go for something cheeky. Saucy is the one. While Zekin is receiving the plays a lot of times and living up to the moment, Saucy is the one being proactive about it. So if they cancel that, nobody else on Sentinels is really finding that same groove.
That flash hit? Yeah, it did. Sam backing up. Got Finesse close by.
I suggest you move.
They're investing a lot into this, but that paranoia. Oh, Finesse falls. I mean, they've dropped the Reckoning, they've dropped Harbor Utility, but they all want to go towards C.
And there's actually Spike canceled mollies here. And nothing breaks them, so 1 minute, this is going to be a lot of time for them to get back into this. That turret down right now, Pankata's trying to get it back up.
Oh, and it's clear.
He pulled it away.
Victor's creeping up. You've got Zekin who's waiting to receive.
Spike
And the timing on that is just so much fun. Is he going to swing out? Is it going to be Victor who's coming through? But Victor slow walking his way into Zekin's crosshair.
Gets out of there as well. A secondary attempt going to come through from Crashes, but the rest of NRG.
Zekin's ready for it, man. Look at him. He's pushing forward.
At this point, he's hunting.
Yeah.
It looked like NRG wanted to maybe put Crashes there in a position to get a lot of exits with the pressure from the door that Sam was putting on while the rest of them walk away and save their weapons.
Turret out.
And especially if they get these two guns saved, there's 3 rounds for sure of buffer economically for the NRG side, even losing this one and getting the reset. We got gun rounds all the way through.
Yep.
For both sides, it looks like. It's the second time out. Last time out from NRG. They called one in the this second half early, and now again trying to find a way to close out this game, and they're not taking this lightly either. This threat right now is within 3 from Sentinels.
A moment to talk things through here. We saw just before the timeout was called, another op was invested. So they're continuing to put trust in Victor to find value with that weapon.
Again, that decision to me is very surprising given the comp that you have out from Sentinels. The Harbor Viper is so difficult to find good angles from. You get everything chopped up in front of you. Yet, I say that, and he found that gap and drop that one time. And he's able to find value other ways as well, especially because I think he still has his knives up.
I believe he does as well, yeah. NRG just within arm's reach of closing out this map and taking a 1-0 series lead into the next. But Sentinel's not far behind here.
Turret out.
Both teams definitely improving on their last week's performance so far, in my opinion. Even though Sentinels got that win over 100 Thieves, I don't think it was as clean as it might have looked from the surface. Every single game went to the wire. 2 games went to overtime. They barely pulled it out on a SEN. That was a nice comeback from them. They're attempting the same thing here against NRG.
We're going to take a main control again, but note here, it's historically been the Trailblazer out from the attacking side that pushes the Jet off of this angle, but this time it's the Trailblazer that's getting Victor into an aggressive spot.
Remember, he flanked last time too. He's going to go for it.
Oh, what a shot!
Might just be a game-ending pick right there. Def the Harbor. It's so much more difficult. Sassy's already committed his wall. The strengths of this comp are with having the ability to pivot.
And now they don't. What else do you have to provide cover? And now the Blade's online.
Som has to stay on this fake. He cannot bite on the B fake right now.
He's patient. And they're creeping right by him. The alarm bot gives the positioning away. Artist walks into his death, but Som's trying to hold the line.
I got the spike.
Tense comes in, uptrash to trade that. I'm not even sure that Pancata was going to be in the position to do so himself.
Second once again to receive, and he does. But I don't know that he's expecting the second.
Yeah, he is.
Should give it away, though. Confirming his suspicions, the flash to swing around, and Crashies was a dead man walking. Another round for Sentinels. Oh, they're far from done.
2-round lead. Victor trying to escape second hunting. This is a difficult spot to get through, though, but it is spammable. If you don't want to go through the big queue of opening the door itself, I think there's about 10 seconds left on the spike, so plenty of time to hunt. 15 total, maybe. And 1 second, even if he dies here, you have Tens who has the opportunity of chasing this down.
He knows.
2
How
seconds.
aggressive does Tens go?
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, yeah, he was about to swing.
He was looking up for the updraft too from Tens. That's surprising. Did have the knife, so.
That was so clean from Tens.
But the knives were out there from Finesse. And I believe, Crashies too. And Zach can put him in the blender.
Op carried over for Victor once again, opening the round towards A. And that's where all of Sentinels are. 10 stashing forward. And he's got a flash over the top to help out. Instantly door triggered. Victor not gonna get a shot. You have so many members of NRG here. You've got Som close by, Finesse getting info with the Trailblazer, and you still have that op you have to take care of.
Again, lines of sight blocked over and over from Victor. He's trying to be dynamic. Trying to get into better positions every time. But when you're starting off all the way back, you saw the success of the last round was because he started way forward. Unexpectedly, now he's almost neutered entirely already.
Third tap of the door, if I'm not mistaken. It's just Tens. Fourth now.
Oh, no! Whoa! No!
Oh, gosh.
Still gets the kill. It's not the end of the world, but definitely a little bit of an issue there from Som.
Spike planted.
3 gonna funnel in from the defender's side, and Tenzil's far up. Artist takes care of him. Numbers NRG here, but Spike ticking away, and it has for a little while now. They're gonna have to move forward with some pace. Def not able to get the second. It's all on Bangala. Finesse on the tap. He's gonna get it to half. No, but that Molly's gonna help. It's gonna buy some time. The spam out. He's gotta land these shots on crashes now, and he cannot. The defuse is gonna come through, and Sentinels gave a run at it, but NRG close out Lotus 13 to 10.
Defenders win.
Scary moment there. As Sam almost didn't even get the first one, but they're gonna take that, fix whatever issue happened to him, and move on forward. That's a huge win. Sentinels really put up a face that they might have a chance in that on the comeback.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have to wonder how important that Lotus pick was to them. They forego the opportunity to go for a double duelist comp by picking Lotus because they saw how weak it was for NRG. But they are not Leviathan. And NRG had a complete, I mean, that first half was beautiful, the 9-3. And then able to close out against the fake comeback.
And it was all off of, again, the composition changes. You can tell the game plan was different in a truncated time window. Remember, they just played this last weekend. Yep. They came in with something fresh. Either way, it is a 1-0 series lead for NRG. They take Sentinels down on Lotus. Icebox on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere, friends. We will be right back.
He is currently unstoppable.
True.
He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.